What's up guys, it's Ryan Allred with Pro Play Games. I'm going to show off the Ho-Oh Turtonater deck I played this weekend at my League Cups. I finished Saturday in second place, losing in the finals to Ahmed Ali playing Gardevoir, and Sunday finished in first place. I really like the deck. I think it has good matchups in the format, so I'm going to go over the list with you, go over some of the matchups, see how they kind of explain how they go, and to show you what the deck does and how it works. Here's the list. We have two Ho-Ohs and two Turtonaters. I started off with a different split on that, but both of them are just really good in different matchups, so two of each really kind of sets you up for that. With Volcanion EX, we've got three of them. In the past you always needed four. Three, honestly, maybe too many. You need it to get the big knockouts, but ultimately you don't want to attack with it. We have two of the Baby Volcanions. Baby Volcanion's really good if you miss the turn one Kiawe, but otherwise you won't be using it too much. It also can set your opponent up for a 7-prize game, so it's just another attacker that doesn't give up 2 prizes. For support, we've got two Tapu Leles. I would say almost every list in Standard right now should be playing 3 Tapu Leles. This would be kind of the one exception because you really can't effectively attack with it. You don't play double colorless energy, and your other attackers just do so much more damage. The two that are a little bit more unique in the deck, I'm playing one Oranguru and one Jirachi with Stardust. Oranguru, honestly, I don't feel like that's an optional card in this deck. You have to play it. The ability lets you draw until you have 3 cards in your hand, and I can't tell you how many games I won with Oranguru. To close out the game, usually you'll need to have a Guzma in hand, and they'll probably end you down to 1, so your win condition is getting that Guzma, and you can't use a draw supporter for that because he is your supporter for the turn. Jirachi really helped out with a lot of different matchups, the biggest one being Gardevoir. Usually it just, especially against Gardevoir is weak to metal, so if you attach a choice band, you're dealing 80 damage with a Jirachi, taking out their DC and requiring them to have a Guzma to respond for the turn. For a 60 HP Pokemon, that's pretty good value for 1 energy. And besides that, there's a lot of Garbodor Golisopod in the format, playing like all rainbow energy and double colorless. So taking that out can make a big difference too. That sums up the Pokemon. We'll move on to the supporters. We play 4 Sycamore, 4 N. That's pretty basic. You'll see probably almost every deck in Standard play 4 Sycamore and 4 N. What's a little bit different, we play 4 copies of Guzma. Honestly, I would play 5 in the deck if I could. Guzma's just that good. Usually it's going to be your win condition at the end of the game, and right after you Kiawe at the first turn, your second turn, if you have a Guzma in hand, like, you're golden. Speaking of which, we play 2 Kiawes. 1 is debatable. I think the 2 is really important just because the core strategy of your deck is to get this turn 1, and there are also times later in the game where you can take a turn, leave Volcanion active, or leave a different 1-prize attacker active, and use Kiawe again. So the second one really doesn't hurt you because it is an option late game as well. For items, we got the basics. We have 4 Ultra Ball. You're going to see that in almost every deck. 4 Max Elixir. Some decks are playing 3 with Volcanion. I really think 4 is the way to go. It's gas. It'll get your deck going. This is a little different. We play 2 copies of Nest Ball. I always call it Monkey Ball because the biggest thing you're going to grab with Nest Ball is Oranguru. If you have a dead hand, this turns into another way to draw cards. It also gives you 2 more outs to start with either Ho-Oh or Turtonater turn 1 so that you can Kiawe onto it, and it just makes the turn 1 Kiawe a lot more consistent. People talk about like adding a 3rd Kiawe to make it more consistent. Really though, what you need you need a draw supporter, you need Kiawe, and you need something to use the Kiawe on. So Nest Ball gives you 2 more outs to that Pokemon. We're also playing for tools. We have 2 choice bands and 1 Fighting Fury belt. I could see the split going any way, really. You definitely need at least one choice band. You may want just 3 choice bands. It's hard to say. Choice band doesn't help your math with Turtonater against Gardevoir because Turtonater is doing 160 to start with. So Fury Belt and choice band, either way, the math works out the same. But choice band helps a lot more with Jirachi, and it helps a lot more with Ho-Oh. So generally speaking, choice band is going to be the better tool. But Fighting Fury Belt gives you that plus 10 on non-EX, non-GX Pokemon, which if you're using Power Heater can be really big because that puts you at 30 damage. With a single Steam Up, you're at 60 damage. And 60 damage kills a lot of those basic non-evolved Pokemon. We also have 3 Float Stones. 3 is also a little bit high. I've seen people playing less than that. But turn 1, when you use Kiawe, you don't want to Kiawe to the active because they can use Tapu Lele on it. So having more outs to retreat is huge. It also makes your Guzmas a little bit better, but more ways to retreat, huge in this game. Field Blower, we've got 2 copies. I've seen people play 3. 3 is an option. If I could put as many cards in the deck as I wanted, I'd put 3, but you need 2. It shuts off Garbotoxin, which lets you Steam Up on Volcanion. It lets you Instruct with a Rangaroo. It lets you Wonder Tag with Tapu Lele. So sometimes the win condition will be at the very end of the game, last turn. If I have Field Blower and an Ultra Ball, then I can get rid of Garbotoxin. I can Tapu Lele for a Guzma and win the game. So Field Blower, super big. We play 1 copy of Rescue Stretcher. It's good because if you have to discard a Tapu Lele, it makes all of the... This turns into another way to get Tapu Lele to win the game. It also... we kind of have a mix of attackers here. So if both of the Ho-Ohs get knocked out, you can Rescue Stretcher, bring it back, have a third one to be able to win the game. A lot of times you'll have to discard Pokemon you don't want to with Sycamore, so Stretcher's big. But not really important enough to warrant 2 copies in this deck. It's just, you won't need it that often. Finally, energy count. We're playing 14 copies of Fire Energy. I think 14 is pretty much the standard right now in Volcanion Fire lists in general. We don't have any form of energy recovery other than Baby Volcanion and Turtonater. So more energy is huge in that, and it just gives you more ways to Steam Up. Obviously, we need a lot of energy. Kiawe is going to take 4 of them out of the deck turn 1, and then Max Elixir kind of loses its effectiveness after that. So this is the deck. Matchups. Obviously, the biggest one I've been asked about is Gardevoir. Gardevoir is a bad matchup. There's really no way around that. Kind of your only out to winning that is an early knockout with Turtonater, and just making sure you can get a 2-hit KO on the next Gardevoir, preferably with like Jirachi, because that sets you up to be able to hit the next one pretty easily. And then the hardest part is those last 2 prizes, so having something else set up, you can Guzma up and take a knockout that way does it. Usually though, the only way you're going to win is if you outplay your opponent, or if you set up great, they don't set up at all. It's really going to take one of those 2 to win the game. I actually only played it twice this weekend. The first time was in the finals against Ahmed Ali, and I lost because he's a really good player with a really good matchup. I played it again Sunday in top 8, and I won that one. So it is winnable. It is rough though, but one of the big reasons I like this deck, it takes free wins against Metagross. You really shouldn't lose to that. And it has really good matchups against Golisopod. You shouldn't lose that either. Everything else in the format, I'd say you're favored on, with the exception of Gardevoir. And if someone's playing Greninja, you're unfavored there. But I haven't really seen any Greninja. So really it has solid matchups across the board, aside from Gardevoir. So just don't play against Gardevoir, and you're fine. Easy said. That's the deck. That's how I finished with it. It puts me at 200 points for the season, to try and get 400 for my Worlds invite. obviously we're less than a month in, so I'm not too worried about that, but the big thing coming up is going to be stipends for the international competitions. And it's a race to get there. So right now this is the deck I'm leaning towards for Connecticut regionals. If you haven't tried it yet, give it a shot. Hopefully you like some of the tech inclusions I put in there. I think they help a lot of the matchups and they help the deck run more consistently. If you have any questions, hit me up. Feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to help people with their lists or advice on certain matchups and even just the core strategy of the deck. Thanks. Like I said, this is brought to you by Pro Play Games. We're sponsored by Ultra Pro. If you haven't tried the new Eclipse sleeves yet, they're really cool. Thanks and keep watching.
I played just double Dragoons, 3 of these, just 1 and 1.